Hello, this is Darlinda McTuck, and today we're going to be talking about 10 things every teacher should know what to do with Google Docs. Now you can see my picture there and my name, and then there's my email, dmctuck@e1b.org. So, what are 10 things that every teacher should be able to do with Google Docs? So, the first place I'm going to go, or really the only place, because Google Docs are found in your Google Drive. Now, remember to get there when you're signed into Chrome or Google. You have what is I call the burnt waffle right here. These are all your Google apps. You can see Drive right there. Now, if you open it, you may notice your Drive is in a different place. That's because you can drop and drag those into any position you want. So I just have my Drive at the top. So again, if I didn't have my Drive open, I would simply come over to the burnt waffle. Excuse me. Select Drive, and there I go. Now, what am I talking about when I say Google Docs, which I already mentioned are in your Google Drive? Think of Google Drive as your digital, you may call it a jump drive, a hard drive, a USB, a flash drive, whatever you call it. That's where you would store your files digitally. Plug that into your USB of your computer, pull up all your files. Well, now with a Google account, you have Google Drive. So with Google Drive, you simply have all your Google Docs in here. Now I'm going to go over here and click on New. If I click on New, you can see Google Docs, which really is short for Google Documents, because Google Docs collectively means these Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. If you click on More, you can see Google Forms, Google Drawings. So all of those are types of Google Docs. Now, one thing that you should be able to do with a Google Doc, so let me just go ahead and let's just open one up down here. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and let's see. Here's an activity sheet for a blended learning webinar. I'm just going to go ahead and open that. It's a Google Doc. Now, if you actually did the blending learning webinar, you may recognize this. Just give it a chance to load here. All right, so now it's loaded. Now, if you want to share the Google Doc, what you can do once you're creating it, you can see the share button up here in the right-hand corner. If I click on share, you see some things loading there. All right. Now, notice I could just type in someone's name, their address, their email address, and I could go ahead and share that with them. I can get a shareable link. Let me click on that. Now, if I do get a shareable link, one thing you may notice, if I'm signed into a private Google account, Gmail account, if you sign into your school account, you may see anyone within, it'll say anyone within such and such an organization. Now, if you click on the down arrow there, like I did, and you click on more, all right. So again, you may see a choice which will let you share outside of your organization. Or there's other choices. For example, this says on public on the web. So anybody can find it, no sign in required. Anyone with the link, if you choose that one, at least the person has to find the link. If you turn the link sharing off, then notice it's only specific people. So you would actually have to choose the people that you would want to share that with. So if I say on anyone with the link, but notice, even though I've chosen anyone with the link, I can still choose their level, such as can they edit, can they comment, can they view. Edit means that they can edit that, which means if they edit it, it changes it within my Google Drive. If I say can comment, then they can see it and they can put in comments. They can't edit it though. They can just add comments. If I choose can view, then the person can view it. And if they wanted to have any editing rights, as soon as they get the copy of it, then what would happen over here, they would hit file and make a copy. So if somebody sends you a Google file, such as a doc, a spreadsheet, a sheet, or the slides, then you can just make a copy and then you could go ahead and edit that. So let's just go back to share here for a second. So again, if I choose anyone with the link, I can go ahead and remember I had all those choices by clicking on the down arrow and then choosing more. If I say copy link, now the link is copied to my clipboard. What I can actually do is just paste it. I could paste it in, I can go ahead and paste it in this browser. You'll see if I hit enter, it's going to be that same sheet that comes up. Well, activity sheet. It's actually a Google Doc. But anyways, that's what happens when you share a link. Now notice after I've chosen how I want to share this, it does say advanced down here in the lower right. If I click on that, notice I have some other choices. There's the link to share. I can go ahead and share it via Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus. I can also share it via Gmail. Okay, I can change that again. I can invite specific people. Also notice it says prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. If you give someone editing rights, so remember it said can view, can comment, can edit. If you give them editing rights, they're considered an editor. They could change the access and add new people. You can also disable options to download, print, and copy. So in other words, you could actually turn that off or nobody can make a copy. So again, those are a little bit more specific, a little bit more advanced. So I'll just say done. And again, I just started by simply clicking on share, chose what I wanted to do, clicked more if I wanted more options. Once I was done, then there was also the advanced here, which gave me these options. Also know that once you share out something, if you change your mind, all you would have to do, like let's say I share this and I change my mind. So I could actually come back here to share. I could go to advanced and I can actually change those share settings. So remember that you have the option to go back and share or not to share even after you've shared it. So remember that. Okay, so that was sharing Google Docs. As far as the collaborating, because I said share and collaborate, so share was number one. Now we collaborate. So the thing about collaborating is if you share it with somebody and you give them editing rights, then both of you could be in the same Google file and be in separate places. So I could be at my house, you could be in your classroom, we could both be at school, we could be in different states, and both of us could come in here and edit it or comment on it. This works really great too. If you have groups of students working together, they can be a group and then they can go ahead and, they can collaborate together or separately, whatever fits their needs. All right. So comments and suggested edits. So once you have your Google Doc created, notice it says editing up here. If I click on this, okay, I can do editing right here. I can do suggesting. I can do viewing. Okay, so if depending on the editing rights I give, all right, so if I say that somebody can comment, then notice they can come in and they can make suggestions, or they can come in and directly edit, or they can just view it. Now, if I wanted to, so that's how you get the suggested edit. So if you do suggested, then what happens is, see, it says suggesting. So if I'm suggesting, right, so then any of these edits that I put in here, I can say, so it's saying right here, I can say add comma. So if I leave that as a suggestion, the person can come along and see it, but it's not actually part of it. So the person can reject this suggestion, or they could have clicked on that little check mark and actually accepted it. If I go to comments, I can add a comment. So like right here, I could put a comment in here that somebody else could actually see. So you can send it out to a student. You could send it out to a colleague, whatever works for you. Okay. Notice, don't worry about that. That's email notifications. So that if you send it out, what happens is, Well, actually, I said don't worry about it. Let's worry about it just for a second here. So this was where you could just add a comment. The notifications, this is getting notifications when there's changes. So if you get all notifications every time there's a change, you would get one. If you say only yours, you only get it when you change, or none, you don't get any notifications. Again, up to you. Here, there's something called revision history. If you go to File and you actually go down to Version History, so it says revision, but it's really version. So you can actually say version history, excuse me. So you can see this particular file has been edited a few times, even on different dates. And you could even get more detail. All right. And also notice by these three little dots, you can actually name that version. You say, why would I name it? Because if you name it, it might help you go back and find a particular version later. If you click on one of those versions, it will actually show you how it looked at that point. All right. So you can see at that point, depending on what time you click on, you can see I was typing on this. So if I go down to the earlier ones, you can see I was typing on it and, doing some more things, right? Adding more. And then eventually, it was done. Okay. And then you can see February 8th, which is today. I'm actually looking at it right now. So it's considered another version. Okay. So this is really nice. This is nice in multiple ways. So if let's say somebody shares a file with you and they give you editing rights and you mess it up, well, then you can just simply go to version history, say, see the version history, and then you can go back and pick the version that existed before you messed everything up. Because notice, if I pick one of these earlier versions of it, go down where there's less. So I can actually restore this version. See how it says restore this version here? So depending on whichever version I pick, I can restore it and have that version. So just remember that it's a way for you to go back and, recover something that you messed up. Another way that the version history is nice, if students are doing group work on the same file, the same Google Doc, then you could actually see how the students who actually worked on it, when they worked on it, so you can see if everybody is clearly pulling their weight. So another thing that you can do is you can get add-ons for your different files, your different types of Google Docs. And what do I mean by that? Right up here, you see the menu, the add-ons menu. If I click on that, notice I already have some. So for example, I have a template gallery, I have a thesaurus, I have a speech recognition, I have a clip art, I can do voice comments. There's different things that I can do. But notice I can also get add-ons. So if I choose add-ons, I can come in here. Notice there's highlighting tools, there's bibliography tools. So you can actually add an add-on to this type of file, which is a Google Doc, and it adds to the functioning of it. Let me go back to my Google Drive. If I go here and click on this Google Sheet, you'll notice there's still add-ons up here once it comes in. Let's give it a second here. As soon as those are dark, it's just, you can see it's loading. Just give it a second. It's going to come in and come on. Of course, I chose a large file. All right, so now notice, even though this is Google Sheets, it says add-ons. So it doesn't look like I have anything in there. No, it's still working because I should have add-ons. That's okay. Notice though, if I click on the add-ons and I click get add-ons, see, I do have add-ons in here. I have some Flubberoo, which will auto grade things for me. I have Autocrat, which depending on what I do, it does a mail merge. It works like a mail merge, I should say, but I can make it so that when I'm doing an online course and a student completes that online course, they can actually click on a link and request their certificate of completion, and it will automatically go to them. Excuse me. So now you can see, like there's Flubberoo. There's different things in here. Split names. This is an add-on where, let's say, you inadvertently put, first and last name in the same column, you want it to split, then you can use this to split the names. So these are all, different add-ons you can get. All right. And notice with this Flippity add-on, you can take a Google Sheet and you can turn it into online flashcards, and other interactive items. So again, it just depends on what type of Google file that you choose. So whether it's a Google Doc, Google Sheet, Google Slides. Like here's Google Slides. You can see this still has add-ons. There's like this photo slideshow. What's kind of cool is if I go, let's say I have a folder of images on my Google Drive, I can just bring that folder and it turns it right into a Google slideshow for me. But I can also say get add-ons. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Sheets, Docs, or Slides, whatever add-ons come up is particular to whatever type of Google file you're in. Okay? All right. Now, when you're in a particular type of, let me go back to, okay, there's my Google Doc. So if I notice down here, it looks like, I don't know how to describe that, maybe like a square with kind of like a little star in it maybe. And notice it says Explore. If I click on Explore, notice it says search your docs in the web, images, related search. Now, if you notice, it's actually picking up on things that are in this particular Google Doc because it says Flex Model of Learning. Notice there's Flex Model, Blended Learning, Self-Blend. There's images about blended learning. Here's different research related to that. So again, I can go and see what they've picked based on what they found in this, or I could even search into my Google Docs, or I could even search the web. So that's actually called the Explore feature. So again, you'll see it down here on the right-hand side. You just click on Explore, and it tries to pick up on what is in your particular type of Google file. Now, image editing. So let's go back to this facilitator slide with this picture, because there's a picture right here. I want you to notice what happens if I select the picture. What happens is, let me deselect it. I want you to watch right here in this area. If I click on the picture, notice I now have all these different things that'll help me with the image. I could replace the image. I have format options. See, notice I can recolor, I can adjust, drop a shadow, do reflection. I could crop that image if I wanted to. I can rotate that image if I needed to. I can replace it, right? So again, that's just because if I deselect that image, notice that all goes away because I have to, once I select the image, it brings up the different choices for me. So it doesn't matter what you're in. If you check on that image, then you can go ahead and have those features. Now, inserting special characters. So notice you have an insert menu. And here I'm in a Google slide. Notice what I can insert: text box, image, chart, diagram, video, word art, line. I mean, there's a lot in here. This one right here, if I go over here and click inside this text box. So there's a cursor in there. If I say insert, now you'll see special characters is lit up. So remember, sometimes the menus or the tools are intuitive, so it depends on what you selected. So for example, if I go back and select that image, right? If I select the image, notice special characters is grayed out, but now these choices have come up. If I go over here and select a text box and have the cursor in the text box, notice I now have special characters. And if I choose that, I have a lot of different things I can select from and insert. Okay? All right, another thing to look at is downloading different types of Google files. So if I go over here to File, I'm still in a Google slide, and I say Download As. Look at the different things that'll let me download as. I could download this as a PowerPoint. All right, there's like some open type software. I could bring it out as a PDF. I could bring it out as images. So, I mean, there's different things I could download it as. So if I go over to a Google Doc and do File Download As, you'll notice I get Microsoft Word. If I go to this Google Sheet and say File Download As, you can imagine I'm going to get the choice of Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so just remember that when you're downloading that, you can choose different ways of downloading it. All right, so let's look at you can actually email as an attachment when you're actually in your Google Drive. Let's look at that there. So what you can actually do, let's say that whoa. Let me go back here just a second. So if you want to email it as an attachment, okay, what you actually do, you're still under File, and it says Email as Attachment. So then what it does, it sets up your email, so you can say it's going to attach. How do you want to attach it? I could do Excel or PDF. Who do I want to send it to? Notice the title is the subject is the title of the file, and then the message, send a copy to myself. So that's an automatic feature. It doesn't matter so that was a Google Sheet. Now I'm in a Google Doc. Same thing, email as attachment. See, same way. So, and notice with this one, it gives me a few more choices because it could come out as, for example, a Word doc. Okay? All right. Okay. One thing, just cancel this, we're done with that. One thing I want to show you, let me just go to a new tab. So I'm in the Chrome browser, which makes sense because I'm using Google. Notice these three little dots. I can go to Settings. Okay, so if you go to Settings, one thing that you should understand is, hold on just a second. Actually, let me be back in my Google Drive. Yes, my Google Drive. So if I'm in my Google Drive, I actually want to do settings within Google Drive. Sorry about that. So back in Drive, settings. So now I'm in the Google Drive settings. Notice it tells me a little bit of information about my Google Drive. Notice this one says convert uploads. If this is checkmarked, anything I upload will convert it to whatever type of Google file it is, such as a Google document, a Google Sheet, a Google slide. I can change my language settings. I want you to notice this offline feature. If I want to work offline, that is a choice I have to make ahead of time. I have to select that. So in other words, I can't be driving somewhere in the car as a passenger and decide, oh, my laptop isn't picking up internet, I'm going to work offline. No, you'd have to turn this setting on ahead of time. Okay. So again, remember that. I want to show you another thing. If I select a folder, so in other words, if you're in your Google Drive and you say new, you can make a new folder. Okay. But I already have some folders made. I don't need that. Okay. So if I choose the folder, right? Notice when I select the folder and I click on the three dots, or I can also right click on the folder, whatever works for you. Notice it says change color. So I can color code my folders. So if I wanted to make this particular folder green, see how it makes that pop out from the other ones. Okay. All right. So remember that. Also, searching, just by the way, we did 10 features for Google Docs. I'm just giving you a few bonuses with Google Drive. Notice you can search your Google Drive any way you want. You can actually search specifically for a type of a Google file. You can actually come over to the drop-down menu and you can get very detailed, a very advanced search, and then try to find it. So remember, if you're trying to find something in your drive and you can't, don't be afraid to, go ahead and search that. Okay. All right. So at this point, you have seen different features with Google Docs, such as I showed you. How you could share them. I showed you where the comments were. So comments, shares right there. I showed you the version history, which is here under File, and then you see the different versions of it. Add-ons, remember there's the add-on menu. It adds functioning to whatever type of Google file you're in. Different comments you can do. Remember, research is down here with Explore. So if I click on Explore, it's trying to figure out what's in there. There's not much in this presentation. See how it's finding me? It's just kind of messing with some stuff there. But remember, when I was over here in this activity sheet and did Explore, it showed me a lot more. I showed you the image editing, where I clicked on, as soon as I clicked on an image, I had more choices up here. Inserting special characters. Remember, things are intuitive. So you're in a text box and you say insert and it lets you do special characters. I showed you download as, which was under file. You had different choices there. I showed you email as attachment. So again, that was just a quick review of some things I showed you. Remember when you're done with this, but you should have already seen this website because otherwise you wouldn't have found the presentation. So again, just go back to the website, go back under the Google webinars, and again, you will see once the link goes live, you'll see the different directions for this webinar and how you may receive your 2 professional development hours. Thank you and have a good day.